What if I told you that this car was made in the exact same place as this car? Would you call me crazy? Would you call me a liar saying, no, Disney Docket, this one's definitely made in China and this one's definitely made in Thailand? Well, if we look on the back here, yeah, this one's definitely made in Thailand. But if we look on the base here, no way. It says Thailand there too. What? There's no way. Welcome back, guys, to another Disney Docket presentation. Today, man, I'm so excited for this video here on Claude Scruggs, the leakless racer, because there is so much to him to talk about. I am really enthused about this subject. It's not often that we can go back to the Cars 1 racers nowadays, because there's so much excitement on the new next gens, the new Cars 3 stock cars, and all that stuff, which is really cool. But I love the classics. So today we will be comparing the very original Thailand Claude Scruggs here. That's right, way back in 2006, 14 years ago, the Pixar Cars line started off being made in Thailand, but abruptly switched to China with seemingly no change besides, well, for leakless here, a little bit in the color. But for most of them, it wasn't even visible. And now, after 12 years of China, they are going back to Thailand. And we are seeing major changes between the diecast nowadays. And so we're going to dive into why that is. Why, way back in the day when they made a change from Thailand to China, we barely saw any differences. People barely even noticed it. But now it's the biggest subject within the hobby. People are saying, I don't like Thailand, the decals are bad. Why are there so many variants nowadays? And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to see if there are some connections between the two Thailand releases despite their 14-year gap. Can we see some hints of Thailand in this old one here? We'll see. We're going to unbox it. I'm really excited for this video. So thank you guys for tuning in, and let's get right on with the review. Now, this new Claude Scruggs here came out of 2020 Singles Case G, which I unboxed. And if you missed it, I'll put the link in the description below and the card suggestion pop up in the top right-hand corner. Definitely a great case, especially if you're a Piston Cup fan. There are a lot of cool racers in that case. Now, Claude here has been released, of course, since 2006. Pretty much every year, I'd say he was released, obviously 2006 through 2010, he was released. Then he took off 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15. He might have gotten a multi-pack release somewhere in there, but he returned in 2016. And so, yeah, he has not actually been released that much over the last few years here, at least in the 2010s decade. So it's great to see him back. And he's got this crazy ticked off new expression. I'm very excited to see how it looks out of the package. But yeah, we got his classic art here that they've been using for 14 years, although it's only like half of it, which is so strange. It's like they pretty much just took half the car, but he still looks really cool. I love that classic look to him. Of course, you have the Dynaco 400 logo up here because that's the series that he is in. You can see actually Claude Scruggs there on the back, and his expression actually looks very similar to what we got, which I find awesome. I mean, like, Mattel is striving for movie accuracy, and I'm so happy to see that. You can also see Todd Marcus, Hall and Gas, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Aiken Axler, Ruby Easy Oaks, and Dirksen D'Agostino. After the Dynaco 400, a tiebreaker race is needed to determine the winner of the Piston Cup. Displays de la Carrera Dynaco Cuatrocientos, una carrera extra es necesaria para determinar el vencedor de la Copa Piston. I thought that was like a J there for a second. I'm like, una, that is not a word. Anyway, you can see also on the back here, Kevin Shifright and Billy Oilchanger. Both of those were just previously released in recent cases. And then you have Slider Petrowski and Sage Vanderspin, both of whom have not been released yet in the new Blue Desert 2020 mainline. But of course, obviously, they've been released several times in the past. All right, so we'll be right back with Mr. Scruggs here all opened up. So here is Claude out of the package, and he looks absolutely incredible with this expression. I never would have thought that I'd see the classic Piston Cup racers with different expressions. I mean, that just looks so cool to me. You know, I love seeing that, and that's why I wanted to open him up and do a whole video on him. And also, we have the entire team leakless in the background, including the owner, Scott Matoris. Not really the owner, but we're going to pretend he is the owner of Leakless, and they're all celebrating Claude's 10-year anniversary of retiring from a racer and presenting him with this amazing retirement package. Like, you just can't pass it up. But anyways, guys, let's get into the appearance for Claude. You know, obviously a background racer. I mean, it seems just so weird to think of it like that because he's been like a main character in the diecast line. He was one of the first ever cars to be released, yet he didn't say a single word in the movie, but very iconic nonetheless. So there are a few pictures of our guy in the movie. Now, I do want to mention a few things briefly here about this model car from Thailand. Of course, many refer to this model as the leakless model. You know, you have the nitrate model, the leakless model, and the RPM model for Cars 1 stock cars. Those were the first ones released. Well, sometimes octane gain and RPM are interchangeable, but those were the first ones released for their respective models. So they would call then, you know, for example, the Vitaline has a leakless model here. Now, for the leakless quote-unquote model from Thailand, they have done only two, and you're looking at them. Claude Scruggs and James Cleanair are the only Thailand variants with the model so far. And one commonality is that for some reason, the axles are much, much shorter. You can see that the tires are so compressed inward. There's, you know, a good couple millimeters of gap there before you reach the fender. And that just looks very strange to me. I don't know why. It just doesn't look right that you can see this whole fender right here without the tire covering it. I mean, I don't know why they would do that. You can see with obviously most cars and the Chinese Claude here is that, you know, it covers that part. You know, the axle extends far enough to cover that, but they are just hugging the base here of the car, which is very strange. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. You can see it here clearly on James Cleanair, who I do want to do a review on in the future here. I want to open this guy up too, because his expression is also new and different. But yeah, you can see that gap there, which is just very strange, but I did want to point that out. So we have the original Chinese that came out, you know, many, many years ago, but was released for quite a while. And then there's also a variant that came out in 2016 where he has flat eyelids, because you can see here they're raised off the paint. Like if you run your finger across that, you can feel the depth change. And same thing with the early Thailand variant from 2006. So they actually changed it in 2016, so the windshield's completely flat. I do not have that version loose, but you know, it's really not a big deal. I also have this lenticular Claude Scruggs that Mick Frozen Nuggets, definitely check out his channel, was so kind enough to send me a couple years ago. So thanks to him, I have it in the collection here to show to you guys. So 2 China, 2 Thailand. This guy doesn't really matter for the comparison, so we're going to remove him. So Thailand's are on the left here, and then we have the Chinese version on the right. First of all, the expression change is just so noticeable. It's still kind of in the same shape, but, you know, obviously now you have the separate piece for the eyes instead of the eyes being attached to the metal body. So it's, you know, entirely different inserted piece, which gives it quite a bit of a different look. Now the models seem pretty much the same. They have not changed much at all. He's got kind of that screaming expression. Taking a look here at the grille and headlights. Number 52 there. His grille looks quite a bit different. You have this evident gray trim around it, and then kind of, you know, a texture to the grille where you can see the individual grooves. Looks a little grainy. That looks a little grainy, but, you know, I actually think it looks a little bit more realistic for a grille, whereas the original Thailand variant here is just, you know, pretty much a black rectangle. And same thing kind of with the old China one too, which just doesn't look that realistic. Moving on to the hood logo here, you can see leakless adult drip pans. So being a larger decal, it actually looks really good. Thailand tends to struggle more with the smaller decals. I love seeing this classic logo, you know, it just means so much to me. Growing up, seeing this logo is iconic. So pretty much the same thing. You can see the gray bolts are a little bit clear. This line here is a little bit more engraved. Taking a look here at the China one. This is a very vibrant yellow over here. This is a little less vibrant, and this is very washed out, very faded yellow. It's like it's been in the sun, but it hasn't. You know, I've had it packed away for a while. Actually, the Thailand one is the one I keep in the Motor Speedway of the South set that I have on display, because I keep the real Motor Speedway of the South cars packaged up in storage so they don't get sun damage, because I really do care about them. So on the side here, this is the true test of Thailand blurriness, is the decals. And what I'm so interested to see is if they were able to do it at one time and then have just faltered ever since. Or actually, you know, faltered with the new Thailand. So on the bottom here is 2006 Thailand, and on the top is 2020 Thailand. And they honestly look very similar. I'd say they are a little bit clearer here than here, but still very blurry. I mean, I can identify them all, but they're definitely grainy, and it's very disappointing to see that. Same kind of deal with the 52 here. I can kind of see some rough edges along the font of the numbers there, whereas here, I mean, it's just so smooth and bold. I love that. But here it just doesn't look as good. Same thing with the oil splash, which actually looks to have shrunk a little bit and moves a little bit, which is kind of interesting to see. You could also see that this white panel stretches a little bit more out this way past the window than it does here. This one dips down a little bit, and it's pretty much parallel with the eyes. So that's a little interesting. Now comparing him to the China one that has been around for a long, long time. The decals are definitely the clearest here on this Chinese version, even though some of them are getting lost in the fender there. That's a poor placement. 52 looks pretty much the same as the old Thailand version. Of course, the rims are looking good. I mean, they're a little bit differently shaped, but they're a bright yellow, which is good to see, versus the next-gen rims, which just aren't very appealing to me. Up here, you have this little gray window, which is engraved. Same thing here now. Just looks slightly different. On the roof, 52. Again, you can see the rough edges are along the number line. I was going to say lumber. Combining my words, Disney Docket. So it just doesn't look as smooth. You know, you can compare it to the original Thailand one as well. And it just doesn't look as phenomenal. And if we wanted to do a triple comparison here, we can do that. China, Thailand 2020, Thailand 06. Looking at the bottom there at the leakless logo, very similar across all three of them. The middle one though, New Thailand, is a little blurry, but really not that bad. It's not noticeably blurry like the contingency sponsors are. Now what I'm noticing here is that the black on the spoiler is a little weirdly painted, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a solid black. It's like it's got a texture to it. That's all right. And looking here at the bumper, you have leakless adult drip pans. I love it. You got a little catchphrase, watch your wheels. That's awesome. Unfortunately, the next gens don't really have catchphrases or anything like that, so it's awesome to relive this classic here. A very retrospective video today. Taillights, comparison time. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on which leakless is your favorite. Thailand 2006, Thailand 2020, or China. Now what I find interesting here is that although this Thailand from 06 has the most faint yellow out of all three of them, the yellow for the leak word here on the back is actually the darkest and most vibrant yellow than these two. Very interesting to see how they did all this. I mean, I was looking for some clues between the two Thailand releases here, and a correlations. I would definitely say that the decals from Thailand were never as clear as China. I can tell that these are not as clear as these over here. They're clearer than what they are now, but they aren't substantially clearer. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Maybe you guys feel differently, so let me know. Window bars are very different there. They look much cleaner nowadays, so I'll give that to Thailand. Same thing with the China. They just look like a nasty green color over here, and they look just too thick, whereas here they're nice and thin and yellow, as they should be. Taking a look here on the base for the new one, you have Mattel. Ooh, made in Thailand's back here. Haven't seen it way back here before. N088 is the date stamp, so that means he was made in the 8th week of 2020 at the A factory. Of course, N is for the year, 2020, and 8's for the week of the year, and then A is the factory. Disney Pixar up here. So compared to the original Thailand, the only thing it said was Disney Pixar Thailand. So you can see how much more they've had to add over the years to the base in terms of copyright and whatnot. But the individual intricacies of the base are pretty much the same. And here's the China release. So this guy's got a date stamp and Disney Pixar China. So I can't believe this guy didn't even have a date stamp. So yeah, many people would say this is a prototype because it doesn't have a date stamp, but that's just simply not true. I know I got it from a store back in 2006. Or my mom did, because I was just a little guy at the time. I was only 5.5, come on. So yeah, that is my in-depth comparison between old Thailand, new Thailand, and China. And just for laughs and giggles, I'll toss in the lenticular China release here, which has a mouth plate, which is interesting to see. So you can see that this bumper here is a plastic piece attached to the metal body instead of actually being a part of the metal body. And then you can see the eyes changing. Thanks again to McFrozen Nuggets for sending this beautiful car. Love seeing piston cup racers. Regardless, you know, even if lenticular is not my favorite line or moving eyes, I still love to see it. All right, we're going to bring in now the entire leakless team to get a nice little ambiance effect going on. So we got the wide pity. We got the crew chief here, the factory custom one from China, so not real. Of course, Brian Spark here, who I did do a review on before, so if you'd like to see that, the link will be in the description below, along with the card suggestion pop-up in the top right-hand corner. So you can see the branding changed quite a bit between, you know, Brian and Claude here, but overall, you know, you still have the same colors. Slight change in the yellow. Instead of black, it's a little more brown. But still, you got the same, like, rectangular white card. It looks like a playing card right there, doesn't it not? Black rims now instead of yellow. Cool, cool, cool. And, of course, George Nguyen, the next-gen leakless from Cars 3. So there's your evolution of leakless racers. Which is your favorite, Claude, Brian, or George? I'm going to have to go with Claude because he's a classic. But Brian is also a really cool design and is one of my favorite Cars 3 stock cars. I just like that they maintain the yellow throughout all three of them instead of changing to some crazy random color like, for example, Revengo did. I think some others did too. Some other stuff got a little weird. Brown Toupe got a little weird. They all kind of just got so strange and different. Except for like a few like mood springs or leakless, of course. This is the launcher Brian Spark came with, by the way. He was only released this way. And let's get some other pitties in here. Of course, we have some tires for Claude, Lightyear. This is when they got lazy and took off the Lightyear text and just released tires like that. Typical Mattel. Typical. This is Stacy, the main leakless pitty. I did do a whole team review on Team Leakless before, so you guys could check that out. I'm sure I'll link it. This is the short leakless pitty. And this is the leakless crew chief. What would be his name, though? That's a great question. I forgot his name. Dang. Oh my gosh, what's his name? I forgot the Leakless crew chief's name. I'm so disappointed in myself. Anyways, though, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We'll bring in the hauler here as a closing statement. I really do appreciate the support you guys have been giving me over the last few weeks here. It's been phenomenal. I've been really enjoying doing YouTube, and thanks for all the support on the 50,000 subscriber special. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. I mean, I got hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of comments, and I replied to pretty much all of them within the first day, which is just incredible. Like, it's almost at 1,000 comments right now, which just blows my mind. I'm so happy to see that you guys, all enjoyed the room tour, and definitely a lot of cool videos to come out in the future, like case unboxings for the mud racers, custom reviews, and just cool stuff in general. So I'll see you guys for that stuff later. Bye now.